Hey everyone, Brayden here coming to you with a special Epcot construction update for the month of April. We're doing it a little bit differently today. Before I moved to Florida years ago, I would just do these construction updates from here in the studio instead of actually in a park doing a more vlog style thing. Walt Disney World, as I'm sure you guys are aware, is quite busy right now. We are sort of in the height of the spring break crowds here. And the other thing is I find I can go a little bit more in depth and talk a little bit more about what's going on when I'm here in the studio in a controlled environment as opposed to being in the parks. You know, there's a lot to contend with there. And also, I usually don't even have notes with me. I just go off of what I'm seeing there in person, whereas here I have a little bit more to look at, a little bit more detail that we can go into. So let's get into it here. First up in the Epcot news today, at the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind roller coaster, which is officially opening May 27th, preview invitations have now been sent out for many ticket types, most of which are booked up at this point. You have cast member previews, D23 previews, DVC previews, Golden Oak, Club 33, and annual pass holder previews. I told you guys last update that I knew people who have already gone inside and checked out this ride, and based on that Memorial Day opening timeframe we were hearing, we were likely going to have a solid month of previews prior to the official opening, like we did with Ratatouille last year. It turns out we're actually getting over a month of previews for Guardians here, with cast member previews beginning imminently. Cast member previews start April 17th. So in just a couple days here as of when I'm recording this. I have seen some rumors online where people are saying the ride isn't 100% done yet and that cast members, some of them might only be able to walk around the queue of the ride, not actually ride the attraction itself. Hopefully that is not the case. Speaking of an attraction walkthrough though, weeks back Disney held some sort of conference for social media influencers. It's called the Disney Creators Celebration. I looked into it and Disney's actually done these in previous years. I've just never heard of it. Where they invite a bunch of online creators out to check out stuff, familiarize them with Walt Disney World and things like this. One of the perks was creators were allowed to preview a portion of the completed Guardians queue inside the former Universe of Energy. Heading inside, the first thing you see is the graphic for the Wonders of Xandar. That is the name of this otherworldly World Showcase Pavilion, how they're working it in with the theme. Something Epcot fans noticed right away was this horizontal graphic you see as you're walking down this entrance hallway right inside the door that says "From our world to yours." It is definitely quite similar to what you had with Horizons back in the day with the "If we can dream it, we can do it" lettering you had on the wall right as you entered. From there, you turn the corner and you enter the big room in the queue that we have been seeing art of for years, the Galaxarium as it's called, with this projection ceiling above you. In one video, you can see the Awesome Mix Volume 1 cassette appearing to float above you. The views you have going on in here on the ceiling last for 30 minutes before they loop back around to the beginning. So if there's a long line for this attraction and you're in here for a while, there'll be plenty happening above you while you're waiting in this room. I'm guessing we'll probably have some Epcot homages, some things like that, probably lots of Easter eggs we'll have to see here. I really like this room because the lighting, it is very nice. There's a lot of stuff going on. The way the walkways are looping around is pretty cool, and there's stuff going on the ceiling, which is something I really appreciate because in the past, I feel it was quite common for Disney to just put in drop ceilings, you know, just put in a drop ceiling, paint it black, and they would not theme stuff at all as far as some of the ceilings and some of the parts of the attractions were concerned. In more recent years, with newer park additions, I feel like we've seen more frequently attention paid to things like that, theming every aspect of an attraction. Famously, with these Epcot projects, Imagineer in charge Zach Ridley is always talking about how the pathways and flooring are designed, lots of focus on these sorts of things, theming in areas where in the past, you know, I don't think Imagineers were as worried about. They're more focused on probably the things that matter, honestly. We have another Zach Ridley flooring post that we'll be talking about in one of our next stories, so stay tuned for that. Another part of the queue, which is about complete, is the load area, which Disney's been sharing photos and video out of for the last month or so. When the influencers got a sneak peek at the Galaxarium, there was still masking tape on the walls, so finishing touches are definitely continuing here, leading up to and perhaps even into these cast member previews that are starting in just a day or two. Outside the queue building that Disney is wrapping up work on, some otherworldly designs have been applied below the Nova Corps ship on the cement you have below it there. On the topic of the exterior of the building in general, I have to say I am far less impressed with the exterior than I am with what we've seen of the interior so far. Of course, we've talked a million times about how ugly that Gravity building is. You know, it's one of the first things you see when you're entering Epcot. But even the themed facade, what they did with the Universe of Energy building, the lack of solar panels on the roof, the plasticky look to the roof, the entrance marquee and the paneling that's covering up the massive support beam on the Novacore ship, it doesn't look all that great in my opinion. You've also got the fact that Disney got rid of the water feature you had in this spot that's been there since the park opened, which really broke up that endless cement vibe that Epcot often has a problem with. Now we are back to that here. It's just more pathway and more pathway and more pathway. The only details we got on the side of the facade were painted on in a day or two. It's not something that's recessed into the stucco. It's literally just they put up masking tape and added a different color paint and did these little patterns on the side. It's definitely not very remarkable. It's definitely not what Imagineering is capable of, and it's definitely not that new material on the side, which is what it looked like in the concept art. If you recall, it looked like the sides were metal and it was this futuristic looking pavilion, and then in reality, instead of metal on the sides, they just painted it sort of a metallic looking color. They just painted it a gray color. Things like this really show you just how much these projects in recent times just get value engineered to death, where at the beginning you have a lot of cool ideas and it just keeps getting trimmed down and trimmed down and trimmed down, and that's always been the case throughout the history of the Walt Disney Company. You know, there's a lot of great ideas that just aren't physically possible or aren't financially possible, but in recent times it seems like there's more of that value engineering going on, where the final product, it seems like Disney is happy giving us less. Let me know if you guys think I'm being overly critical here. I really don't think I am. You know, looking at the Universe of Energy, what this project inherited when they started the project, you had the tile mosaic, you had that water feature, they ripped all of that out, and what did they replace it with? It just isn't really that great in my opinion. As far as the ride itself though, I do have a preview date for the attraction lined up in early May, so stay tuned for that. We'll be checking out this attraction. I've told you guys before, I expect that this is going to be a good attraction. It's disappointing the animatronics were cut out of the pre-show, and I think even earlier on there might have been some on the ride. Whatever the case may be there, even if this is a screen ride, I think the ride system alone is a winner. So this attraction is very likely to be a good attraction just by virtue of the rotating ride car roller coaster aspect of it. It's a launch coaster. It's going to be hard for Disney to disappoint here. This is definitely going to be a fun attraction, I think. Of course, we'll see in a little bit. Yesterday I said on Twitter, this is so true. You can enjoy Guardians the ride, evaluate it as a standalone Disney attraction, and also acknowledge that it's in the wrong park. Just because I think that Guardians is in the wrong location and that this attraction does not belong in a park like Epcot doesn't color my opinion on the ride itself. They really are separate matters, so needless to say, I'm quite excited to check this attraction out for myself. I will be previewing it in early May, as I said, so stay tuned for that. I'll be covering it for you guys. Very, very exciting there. And let me know your guys' thoughts on what we've seen so far here. Next up, right by Guardians, we have another new Epcot attraction on the way. It's not really an attraction, actually. It's a restaurant. It is a counter service restaurant, the replacement to the electric umbrella. It's called the Connections Cafe, and it looks like it's just about ready to start welcoming guests. As you can see here in these photos, where the inside, it looks just about done. The inside of the venue features murals, which is something Epcot has been in need of for quite a while, in my opinion. There was a time Epcot had murals everywhere, so it's great to see things like this. The design style, as you can see, is very modern. Imagineer Zach Ridley shared some images recently of special theming inside the Connections Cafe on the floor, where there will be an homage to Walt's original experimental prototype Community of Tomorrow concept. While it is cool we're getting tributes like this to the original Epcot as part of the Epcot overhaul, there is something a little sad about the fact that we've gone from Epcot the City being an actual plan to getting Epcot the Living World's Fair to Epcot now becoming a generic Magic Kingdom style park where Disney can insert whatever intellectual property they want as needed. And now these futuristic ideas of the past that were quite serious have been reduced to design motifs on the floor at an LA style Asian fusion restaurant in the middle of the former Future World. On the topic of food, I'm not really a food expert. I don't know if you'd call this Asian fusion. Probably not. It's more of this global theme where it's some American style food, some Asian style food, some Mediterranean food, and it's all sort of fused together into these rather interesting sounding dishes. I'll fire through the menu real quick if you're interested. So for burgers, we have the French Bistro Burger, the Western Burger, the Banh Mi Burger, and the Mediterranean Burger. Then for pizzas, you have the Meatball Pizza and the Curry Spice Pizza, as well as pepperoni and 5 cheese, which we don't have photos of. Then for salads, you have General Tso chicken salad, as well as Niçoise style salad. So quite an interesting menu there. It's really not Asian fusion. I guess it's just more everything fusion. It's supposed to be this global theme, sort of the idea where you take everything from around the world showcase and you put it together in this world celebration restaurant. We don't have a specific date for when this new counter service restaurant will be opening, but it is coming very soon. It is slated to open this spring. So right now, basically, it should be opening very very, very soon, judging by the latest photos inside. Last up in the news today, we have the Moana Journey of Water walkthrough attraction, which we've been anticipating for several years. It hasn't been the most hyped thing, but a lot of people do mention it. I notice a lot of people, when they actually come to Epcot, they're wondering where the Moana thing is. A lot of people have heard that Moana is coming to Epcot, some sort of Moana attraction. Work on utilities and access stairways to the tunnel underneath the area. That work has been going on for quite a while, but in recent months, we've seen vertical construction get underway with concrete forms and various steel structures going in specifically for Moana Journey of Water, this new walkthrough attraction. Taking a look at the latest here, you can see just how much things are ramping up here where stuff is really going in. You see all the steel going in. That steel is the building block Imagineering typically uses for rock work. So we might be seeing rock work start to be created here in the very near future. Looking at the site and the concrete forms and the walls and all these abstract shapes, I've been trying to line it up in my mind with the pieces of concept art of this attraction that we've seen previously. I think this walkthrough attraction is going to be really cool. I believe this project goes back a good ways and is something that Imagineering has been wanting to do for many years, and tacking Moana onto it pushed it over the goal line finally. When I'm in the parks, I rarely visit the rides, and it's not because I'm nearby now. You know, when I used to live far away from Walt Disney World, when I went, I still didn't really visit the rides all that often. It's really not what I like Walt Disney World for. The thing I like about the theme park is the themed environments. Everything's themed. You know, if you just want to go do rides, obviously Walt Disney World has a lot of great rides, but so do a lot of other parks that are more focused on the rides, the thrills specifically, whereas at Walt Disney World, it's another level where everything is themed. It's the landscaping, it's the hotels, it's everything. It's the monorail, and that's the stuff I really love about Walt Disney World. So when I'm in the parks, a lot of the time I'm just walking around, exploring and enjoying these various environments, you know, just vibing and having a good time. So having a walkthrough attraction like this, seeing us finally get something like this, and also it being another water feature in Epcot. Epcot was formerly just an endless slab of concrete. It is really good we're seeing something like this, despite, you know, the intellectual property tie-in and all of that. So we'll keep an eye on the latest here. That's the latest construction progress in Epcot today. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe with those notifications on so you can stay up to date on the latest going on. I'll be back with you here soon with another news video, so stay tuned for that as well. Thank you so much for watching. From the Mickey Mouse Magic Studio, this is Brayden. Have a magical day.